Let's move on to the Nigerian equities market, which closed last week on a positive. It gained 1/3% to close at 37,883. Now, week on week, the index actually closed by a marginal gain of 0.03. In other news, the Nigerian MPC kicks off its 235th monetary policy meeting today, to be followed, of course, by its considerations and its decisions announcement on Tuesday. Now, for more on expectations for the overall market and the week, I am joined in the studio by Lanre Buluro, who's the head investment research at Primera Africa. It's great to have you on the show, Lanre. I think we should start off by talking about MPC and getting your thoughts.
Hi, thank you for having us. Our expectation for this particular meeting is it's probably going to be the last meeting for the year. They've had the CBN has had a very eventful year this year with a couple of regulations in place. So we expect this meeting to be a little bit more quiet for them, just going away quietly this for the rest of the year. A couple of few things right now on the table. Like I said, the CR has been increased this year, which really impacted the banking sector. They've also reduced COT charges that banks could actually charge customers. So the only thing right now for the rest of the year for them, I think, is pretty much try to maintain the reserves. So inflation has been down single digits for the most part of the year. GDP is around 6%, a little bit lower than what we expect. And also, they've, a key initiative for the MPC is also trying to stabilize the exchange rate, and they've done quite a decent job doing that this year. So pretty much, it's just we think there'll be no change in the MPC rate this year. And
what about the CRR?
No, I don't think they're going to do anything again. I mean, it was quite stringent what they did during the summer, and you can see with the bank results this past quarter, it's reflected in earnings being squeezed and the outlook being not to be nice for them.
Now, of course, you mentioned inflation there, and we saw that fall to 7.8% in October. Now, it'd be interesting to know, do you think the market would react to that in any way, especially in the consumer sector?
Not really. I mean, we've been in single digits for the most of the year, and any expectations for the rest of the year it's still going to be single digits, and I think it's already baked in regards to what investors are looking at the numbers. So I don't think that much should be expected or anything should change for the rest of the year.
Now let's talk about this new listing from, of course, Computer Warehouse Group. Your thoughts on that listing? I mean, I did mention earlier in the show, we're expected to, there are plans to hit market cap of 150 trillion naira by 2016, which is barely 2 years away. Now we stand at about 11 trillion. So what are your thoughts generally on the market in terms of new listings?
Well, the listing by CWG is a welcome addition to the market. It's been a drip process so far, and the goal of hitting 150 trillion by 2016 seems like a very daunting task. But like I said, the CWG brings expands the sector, the computer, I believe, software space. I believe there's another player called IHSS in that market right now. Yeah, and I think the company is profitable, has strong revenues, has a good track record. So and we saw that in the first day of activity, there was quite some purchases of the shares when it listed. Let investors are quite interested in new listings.
Do you think that we could see maybe IHS start to rally as a result of what's happening with Computer Warehouse?
Very possibly. IHS has been quite active this year. We don't follow it, so I can't really give you that much color on it. But we, generally, we've, on the trading floor, we've seen orders come in. We've seen, general volumes pick up for IHS over the course of the year. So it's very possible with the addition of CWG, we might see more strong activity in that stock also.
Now let's talk about the oil and gas sector. We saw remarkable gains, of course, in that sector in the past 2.5, 3 this year generally, actually, to be honest. And on Friday we had Q3 results from Owando. Revenue 386 billion, that's down 20%. Profit after tax down 4%. Of course, Owando has had a pretty difficult year. The stock has not gained very much in comparison to the rest of the sector. In fact, it's only been up 2.7%, and in comparison to the likes of Forte, they're looking at 1,300%. So your thoughts on Owando and prospects going forward?
All right, yeah. In regards to Owando, the main overhang right now is the ConocoPhillips deal. They have a November 30th deadline for that deal to close. They've made a down payment about $400 million, and and it's about outstanding about almost $1 to $1.2 billion outstanding for them to make. They have some commitment letters, but nothing concrete yet. So the dip we saw in the stock last week, I think is more investors, concerned about them being able to close that deal. I think the results were expected since the overall sector hasn't done well since the partial removal of the subsidy. The bellwether in that sector is Total, and and they also haven't done well. So I think the reaction you saw last week in Owando stock was much more than the results coming out. Now you mentioned Forte Oil and other stocks in the other area going up. Now Forte Oil, remember, the company was one of the successful bidders of one of the power plants. So I think investors are actually pretty much investing ahead. In events the Gencos start bringing in revenues.
Yeah, now I want to talk about the agricultural sector, especially livestock, because at the start of the year, it was actually one of the stocks leading the rally in Q1. So it's been up 156%, but it was probably up 156 even back then.
Sure.
So it hasn't done very well, between perhaps maybe April till now. This was of course just before USCN got a 51% stake in the company, and around that time we saw the stock hit a high of 7.18 naira. Now it's trading at 3.69 naira, so it's come down significantly since then. So what's going on with that stock?
Well, pretty much, I think the rally we saw was in anticipation of the deal.
I see.
The people were probably aware of UACN making acquiring the company, so people were buying ahead of it. And of course, when UACN acquired the company, was at a little premium at the closing price when the deal was announced. Now, in regards to what it's done year to date since then, it's pretty much. The company's been around for a while. It's having some feeding problems in regards to expenses are quite high. Its core raw materials are sourced locally, and it's been and procuring them has been quite problematic for them. So with acquisition of UACN, it's expected to be a turnaround very soon, and I think management is looking to procure some of those raw materials internationally at cheaper prices, and we should probably lead a turnaround.